What an awesome song that was. That was Dave and Chris Hadfield. And I don't know if you realize, depending on where you're listening from, but they are actually from the Sarnia-Lambton area. So super exciting that I can play that song and that they are hometown boys. And I love my country. I mean, Canada, greatest country in the world. Yeah, pretty sure it qualifies. So it's an honor to play any song that helps us appreciate our country. So speaking of appreciation, it's time for us to appreciate all the good things that are going on in the world. So I did mention earlier that the United States has the lowest unemployment rate. Actually, I just looked through the stats again. It's the lowest unemployment rate since 2000 and 2001 was right around the same area. So they're sitting at 4.4 right now. So at that time, 2000 and 2001, I believe it was at 4.2. I don't have the page in front of me now. And before that, it wasn't since 1970 that it was in the same area, and then lower in 1966. So for all the bad news that they're making big news in the States, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, that, you know, this is actually great news, right? And I'll have to look up Canada. Usually, we are quite similar to whatever's going on in the States. Like, we're not the States, and we're not like the States, but we're similar. Like where I grew up here in Sarnia, Ontario, we are a border city to Port Huron, Michigan, so we're actually only 45 minutes from the States, from Detroit, rather. So it's interesting because when I was growing up, so when I was 4 years old, I was the right age. I'm the first generation of Sesame Street kids. When I was 4 years old, or 3 or 4 or something like that, that's when Sesame Street came on the air. And from that age forward is a whole different generation, because that's when we started getting educated from TV. So when I was growing up, we were watching American Sesame Street, and so the second language they were teaching was Spanish, which is interesting because Canada's second language is French. So it wasn't until, I don't know if we were on vacation or what it was, but I was in Northern Ontario, and which is much farther away from the border, and I got, got some Sesame Street and second language French. So that was really weird, and that was an aha moment for me to realize that that's where we're getting our content from, a lot of it from the States. So a lot of our news was from the States, a lot of our just general information, and so there's pros and cons, like everything. There's pros and cons to everything, right? So, yeah, so, you know, I think that's a wonderful thing that's going on, and I think that's what people need to focus on, instead of focusing on the drama and, oh, I don't know, let's call it BS. Let's focus on some good hard facts. Some good hard facts of good things that are going on in the world. Because I tell you, my friend, they're out there. There's a lot of great stuff going on. Speaking of teen prodigies, oh man, I'm excited about the future. I really am. So, Alyssa Capassi had never thought about how school children living next door to her might be going hungry every day. And that's why she's helping to create an app that will ensure every child in America can have access to a full meal. Instead of parents going through an arduous online process to pay for their children's school lunch meals, the Food for Thought app, developed by the 17-year-old high school student, lets parents buy meals for their kids, as well as meals for other anonymous hungry students. That's a great idea. Capacity believes that the app's simple pay-it-forward model will make parents and individuals more likely to donate a couple bucks towards their hungry kids in the community. Currently, the most common way for parents to pay for their child's lunch is to use an online platform in which they load money onto their child's multi-purpose school ID or a lunch debit card, Capacity told Good News Network. The child can then use a card like a debit card in their cafeteria. Basing our concept off the current systems on my platform, which will not have a membership fee, parents can add money for their child to use, and when they are confirming their payment, they will be asked if they would like to anonymously pay for a $2 to $3 meal for another child in their community, she added. In order to ensure that families don't abuse the payment system, there will be certain applications and requirements in place for applying as a Food for Thought recipient. Both donors and recipient families, however, will always be kept anonymous. Additionally, you don't have to be a parent to make a donation. Oh, that's cool. Anyone can download the app for charitable use. Capacity first got the idea for the app when she was volunteering for a nonprofit that paired tutors with children who could not afford them. Originally, she says that she was bewildered as to why the volunteers kept bringing in food for the kids. At the first meeting, I noticed that the organization was providing sandwiches for all of the children, said Capacity. I was initially confused because I assumed that these kids had just eaten lunch and in an hour or two were going to be getting dinner. The volunteers went on to explain that many of the children didn't have families who could afford school lunches, and furthermore, could not afford to feed them at home either. When you think of hungry children, you automatically think of people in third world countries. The concept that there are children in my community that are not getting enough to eat horrified me and led me to researching childhood hunger in the United States. Capacity, who is a senior at Brearley School in New York City, then joined forces with 4 other classmates, Emma Yang, Fiona Yu, Ivy Mayo, and Gabrielle Rich, to form Team FIG, a group dedicated to solving hunger in their communities. Yang was actually featured on the Good News Network last year for creating the first app ever targeted specifically towards seniors with Alzheimer's disease. That sounds familiar. I think we covered that. The 12-year-old originally designed her timeless app as a means of helping her grandmother to keep track of dates, people, obligations, and memories, and it turned out to be wildly successful. Now, however, Team FIG is focused on developing the Food for Thought app for the 2018-2019 school year. The girls have already secured funding for the prototype via their GoFundMe campaign and a $2,000 grant from the Allstate Foundation Good Starts. In addition to applying for nonprofit status, they hope to begin beta testing in the next few months. While governments, laws, and budgets may change, we believe that community ties are long-lasting, Capacity told Good News Network. Food for Thought reflects this is that it will make it easy and accessible for people to donate to help limit and possibly stop school lunch inequality and its byproduct, food shaming. Oh my gosh, isn't that something? I'm always floored by the fact that there is so much food and it's food waste, yet we have people who aren't eating, right? Or they can't afford food. Like, it is totally boggling that we have to wait for the system. We have to rely on people to pass laws, approve permits. Like, let's just take it in our own hands. Let's just start doing the right thing and helping. Do it without expectation, right? Very important. We can make a difference. Together we rise. You know, I'm starting a love revolution. I want you involved. You know, there's no reason why you can't be. You got some extra stuff? Share it. You know, it's a flow thing. I talk about the law of attraction a lot. You give, and you're opening the door to that good energy flow of good stuff coming through. It'll come back to you, so be generous. But again, without expectation. If you're going to give somebody some money, you can't question what they're going to do with it, right? And so, like, you know, if I saw somebody yesterday and, you know, maybe I was like, oh, do I want to give them $10? Oh, maybe I won't give them $10 because they're going to go buy, I don't know, 3 King cans. Then I would keep the $10 and I would have gone to that wedding and bought myself 2 Caesars. So who cares, right? It's about doing the right thing. It's about doing a good thing in trust and faith. All that stuff. In humanity. You know, we've got all our eggs in one basket and we're expecting all these people to solve these problems for us. It's our planet. It's our world. Those are our brothers. Those are our sisters. Let's get out there and help them. You know, that stuff just drives me nuts. Because all the solutions are there. But we're caught in this world where we're so worried about what the stars are doing. And, oh my gosh, if all people in power can spell, who cares? Is there other good stuff happening? What can I do? What can I, Michelle Dion, do to make a difference? I'll figure it out, and I will help people. And I'll feel damn good about it, I'll tell you that. So, don't get me going on a Sunday after a wedding. So, next story. This is really cool. There are more than enough skinny blonde Barbie dolls lining the shelves of toy stores worldwide. But what about the girls who want dolls that look more like them? That's where Kay Black comes in. Black is a jewelry designer and a hairstylist who also makes custom-made dolls with special physical features. More recently, she's being hailed for creating dolls with vitiligo. I hope I'm saying it right. You know what it is? It's the disease Michael Jackson had that people swore wasn't real, whatever. I have to say, my adopted mom has it. And so on her hands, and probably other places, but I only know about her hands, there's patches. And so it's like she has patches of different color skin. And that's what it is. So, it's a condition that causes darker skin pigments to turn white. So, all of Black's creations are made out of older dolls that she finds at secondhand stores. Oh, recycling, I love it. Depending on the details of her designs, each doll can take up to several weeks to finish. Oh, I have no doubt. Her toys became so popular, Black started expanding her creations to include male dolls and dolls with albinism. As a result, dozens of fans have expressed their appreciation for the stylist's efforts to encourage diversity and representation. Isn't that cool? Now, as you know, I put all these articles on my Positive Power Facebook page. There is links on there if you want to order yourself a doll or a doll for somebody you care about. You may have seen the video online of a girl that was an amputee, and she got a doll with the same, I think it was the same leg missing or something. Very cool, very cool. That was a tearjerker, that one, I'll tell you. So, another thing I really love, I love a lot of things, is when stars, anybody with an abundance of money, doesn't have to be generous, they are generous. They give back. You know, and like I say, don't rely on other people to do it. You know, we know there's a lot of shady eddies up above. And we know that they don't always necessarily have the same motives as us. Whatever. You know, I think big change is in the works and history's in the making. We're seeing things shake out. But while things are shaking out and cleaning up, we can't just sit here and wait and, oh, I hope this works. Not, you know, like I said, make a change. So if you have an abundance of money, like especially to the tune of $7 million, why wouldn't you help somebody? So, Hornets owner Michael Jordan is donating exactly that. $7 million to launch 2 medical clinics in troubled Charlotte communities. It's one of the largest gifts ever from the basketball legend with deep ties to North Carolina. He's very well known for doing good things. Novant Health is expected on Monday to announce Jordan's personal gift, which will fund Novant Health Michael Jordan family clinics to be built in North and Northwest Charlotte. One will be at 3149 and 3153 Freedom Drive. The other will be in the Bright Walk development on Statesville Avenue. Officials said the clinics will target a crescent-shaped region, hugging roughly an area north of uptown skyscrapers, home to some of the city's densest concentrations of poverty. Opening of the clinics is projected for late 2020. Very good. Jordan spokeswoman Esty Portnoy said Jordan began having conversations with Winston-Salem-based Novant, for years the Hornets' official healthcare provider. About 16 months ago, excuse me, as he sought ways to help poor populations in Charlotte. She said Jordan was largely spurred by a 2014 study from Harvard and the University of California at Berkeley that found poor children in Charlotte have the worst odds of those in any big U.S. city to lift themselves out of poverty. That report, which stunned many in the community, led to the creation of a Charlotte Mecklenburg task force charged with identifying ways to address the city's economic mobility problems. Michael really wanted to do something personally, he and his family, in the North Carolina area, separate from the work we've done with the Hornets, Portnoy said, adding that the idea for the clinic specifically emerged during the Novant discussions. In a statement, Jordan said he was proud to partner with Novant to bring critical health services to underserved areas of Charlotte and thousands of North Carolinians with limited access to health care. Jordan said he hoped the clinics will help provide a brighter and healthier future for the children and families they serve. The gift comes from one of the greatest players in NBA history, who grew up in Wilmington and attended UNC Chapel Hill. Jordan hit the winning shot in the Tar Heels' 1982 national championship victory over Georgetown. Jordan, 54, is the only former NBA player with majority ownership of a franchise. He purchased control of the Hornets from founding owner Bob Johnson in March 2010 after 4 seasons as part of the ownership group. That is absolutely awesome. Now, the article does go on and